I'll call to order the Monday, February 10th, 2025 meeting of the North Andover Select Board. If everyone would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, first item on our agenda is public comment. Per Select Board policy, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between citizens and the Select Board. It is a citizen's opportunity to express his or her opinion on issues of town business. The board may respond to a public comment by taking it under consideration when deliberating on an agenda item or referring the item to the administration for appropriate action or response. Public comment shall be for a period of up to 15 minutes, with speakers being allowed 3 minutes to present their material. Is anyone here for public comment this evening? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to our new business. Item A, we have an update on the Senior Center Strategic Plan. Yeah. I can't promise that we're technically proficient here, but good news is Brian's here to help us out. We're not exactly technically proficient, but Brian's here to help us if we need.
Because I'm not. Maybe on the other side.
Yeah, we're all on. Everyone's got to slow down, yeah.
Look at that. Good night, you mind if I sit down?
Excellent. Nice picture.
All right, thank you all for having us here tonight. And it's going to be quick. I just want to give you an overview. You should have all gotten a copy of our strategic plan. And see if I can get it go. Some of the, we're missing a number there. There we go. Some of the background to the strategic plan before we got into it. And this is fiscal year 24 numbers. The number of lives that we touched was 1,549, and we touched them a little over 59,000 times. We had 3,100 volunteer hours that were contributed to us, and if you were to take that just at a minimum wage, it's about $50,000. And our vans did about 3,600 round-trip rides, and that would be about 7,200 separate rides in the year. So what's the difference from FY '23 to '24? So we were up 43% in the number of people that we served, and the number of times that we served them, we were up 58%. So those numbers were really important as we started to look at our strategic plan. Some of our program highlights from that year is we doubled our fitness classes. We had a Club 90, which was offered on a Saturday afternoon. We invited those that turned 90 in North Andover to come for a luncheon on a Saturday afternoon. It was really a very lovely event. We increased our daily lunches from 3 days a week to 5 days a week. We now have a quarterly book and breakfast. We do try to look for local authors, if not local to North Andover, then local to Massachusetts, to come in and talk about their books, and then we serve breakfast with that. One of just the greatest new collaborations we have with the fire department, and this was the administrative assistant in the fire department came up with this, was grandparents can go with the Toys for Tots and go shopping for their grandchildren. And we do that at the fire station before the toys are released to Toys for Tots. And it's just a wonderful Saturday morning we do. We had 2 programs through a grant, a medical advocacy program through the grant, and an medical escort program. The advocacy program was set up. We hired a professional medical advocate who would go take someone who either had a new diagnosis or someone that might have had just some underlying conditions that they needed someone to go to an appointment, help them go through these appointments and explain the process. And it was a really worthwhile program. Unfortunately, it funded out. It's an expensive program to do. We're now trying to work a way to see how we can fund that. We can't do that personally, but where something like that could be funded to help people get through crises in their lives. The medical escort pilot program we are still running. We actually were funded to provide a stipend for volunteers that would go with people to their doctor's appointments. It might be somebody with a new diagnosis that just needs somebody to go with them, take notes for them, and hear. We've all been to the doctors, and you hear what you want to hear, but you need somebody that's going to go with you and hear what you should be hearing. And none of the volunteers wanted those stipends. And we've continued that program with volunteers today. So the pilot program was very successful for us. And we've had our 3rd annual conference on aging, and we are almost at capacity with that. So what data do we use for our strategic plan? We did a SWOT analysis. It's really one of my favorite things to do. We brought in a professional facilitator. He's a professional strategic planner, certified, and he ran the SWOT analysis with the Council on Aging and staff, and then we produced a SWOT report with that. I think you might have a copy of that. We used attendance data, program outcomes and surveys. We don't do surveys for every single program, but we randomly get some surveys for that, and then we do one big annual survey with people. We used the UMass Boston Needs Assessment that was funded through the ARPA monies. We have a suggestion box, and we get a lot of great suggestions in there. In fact, we had a day, we had the grievance day, and we went through and reread every single one of the suggestions and addressed what we're going to do with them or not. Somebody suggested we get rid of the donuts, and we said, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So that was it. And then we use budget reports also as part of our data. I'm not going to read all this to you. So you're going to have all of this. So what was the purpose of the strategic plan, and what do we want to do? We want the stakeholders to understand our priorities and where we're going. We wanted to have a directional document. It's so easy in what we do to just be looking all over and throwing spaghetti at the wall and just waiting for something to stick. And if you don't have a plot and a way to go, then you end up sometimes not getting anything done. And so we wanted a path. We wanted to make sure we were all on the same path and to move forward on that path. And we wanted to provide a mechanism that we would have community support by putting them out there. This is what we're doing and how we're going to get there. It's a rolling strategic model. It's a 3-year plan. We look at it every year, and then it needs to be updated. We'll update it. Sometimes you have to change course because things happen you don't expect. COVID is a great example of that. So something could happen in the next year that we may have to go back and say, yep, no, we've got to take this out, and this has to go in now because circumstances might have changed for us. So this is just a brief example of senior centers' expectations today. I've worked in senior centers for 25 years. A lot has changed in those 25 years. It used to be primarily a congregate meal site, and then you would have a little bit of programming. It was run a lot on volunteers. It was, your volunteers would be at your reception desk. The volunteers would be planning your trips. The volunteers would be doing a lot of the work. And a lot has changed now. We now look at people that come in our centers as unique individuals. We don't just look at them as people over 60. We look at their unique needs, which makes its own set of challenges to us. So we're looking at people, there's economic diversity. There's solo agers, they're aging and they have no family, so we want to address those needs. Their grandparents raising their grandchildren, how are we going to address those needs? They're caregivers. We're looking at specifically who they are. And again, this goes back to that throwing that spaghetti against the wall. We can't look at all of it at once, but how can we focus on these needs and address the needs of everyone? Our strategic plan has 4 goals. I'm going to give you the first goal. I'm going to give you all the ways we're going to get to it. The other ones I won't. This one addresses it more to you because it has to do with money. So, so I'll give you this. So our first goal is we want to ensure that all the funding avenues and funding outreach efforts are maximized to fulfill the center's missions and vision. One of the first things we want to do is document a 3-year budget look ahead that will define and promote the needs for a budget that supports a level of excellence in programs and services. So we want to look ahead for the next 3 years, and how are we going to continue what we're doing, and what are we going to need to get to where we want to go. We want to maintain our commitment to low and no cost to the consumers. We have made some changes over the past 3 years. Our exercise classes now are at no cost through our state grant. They're at no cost to our consumers. That it's a $1 donation for each class. We have seen participation skyrocket, which is really essential. People should be exercising. That's how they're going to stay independent. We want to maintain that. When we have special events and lunches, we now don't charge for those special lunches and socials. We want to maintain that. So we ask for your commitment for us to also to keep doing that. The other thing, we want to ensure that the maintenance and upkeep of the building is maintained. And we are going to look at laying out a 5 to 10 year plan on how we need to do that. Last 3 goals. We want to expand a wider community awareness of the center's role in addressing the community needs for support services. This came out of the needs assessment. We found 54% of the people reported they didn't know who to contact for assistance. That was not just for the senior center, that was town-wide. They didn't know that. Pretty big number. So out of that, also 9% reported feeling financially insecure, and that's an incorrect number. Should be a 66% reported that they feared they would run out of food at the end of each month. So we need to do more outreach so people know where to go in the town and also at the senior center when they need assistance, where they can get more assistance to help them if they're feeling financially insecure, and where they can find food if they need it. And maybe we need to provide bus transportation to food pantries and different things. So we'll be looking at all of that. Provide programs and services to prevent and eliminate loneliness and isolation in North Andover adults. I'm sure you've all seen the Surgeon General has declared that loneliness is an epidemic. Loneliness can be compared to smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day to your health. And so that's going to be one of our goals, is how are we going to combat that? One thing that we did this winter is we've had a pilot program opening the building on Saturdays. So we've had one Saturday in January, one in February, we'll have another in March. We'll be collecting data and see if that is sustainable to open the building on Saturdays for people. And the 4th one is to advocate and educate for issues concerning older adults on the local and state levels through awareness with our elected leaders of current issues facing older adults and supporting older residents and self-advocacy. We talk about it all the time, and one thing that's come up in the Council on Aging, and they will take up the greatest role in this, is we talk about issues in our meetings, but then they never go past our meetings. So we need to be sure that these issues that are coming up get out in our newsletter, they get up flyers hung in the building, and how are we going to get that information out to people that it truly impacts? So that is going to be our 4th goal. So, in a nutshell, that's it. Do you have any questions?
I'll open to the board if anyone has any questions. Thank you very much for the presentation.
I'm sorry?
I said thank you for the presentation.
Well, thank you for
Appreciate
having us.
it. Absolutely.
I'm sorry,
Thank you for taking this project on. From what you've just described, there is a need.
Yeah.
And you're working your way through it, and
Oh.
thank you for that. And I'm
Thank you.
sure there's a lot of people at the center who really appreciate the
well,
outreach.
thank you.
I had the enjoyment of being there for the airing of the grievances.
Oh, yeah, you were there.
And it was great. But I just want to commend you and your team. I mean, it is literally moving targets all the time, switching things up, just figuring out what people need and meeting those needs, and it is just commendable. So thank you for all that you do. I have questions about like how much federal funding we get. I don't know the answer to that, but I can ask you that separately.
Right. But thank you very much.
How's the new facility, how's the response to the new facility? Is everybody enjoying the new building?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Is everybody enjoying the new building?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The response has been phenomenal to the
Yeah.
new building. And the fireplace was down for a few months because the remote was off, and you would have thought that, I don't know. But as soon as they came to fix it, and I said, well, the fireplace guy's here, well, everybody, they applauded him and got up and moved away. And so I said, I bet you've never been applauded before when you got to a job. And yeah, so now the fireplace is working again and everybody's
Now,
happy.
Happy again.
Does it throw a little bit of heat? Is
Oh, it
that
does
why
throw
people-
heat, yes.
Yeah, 'cause that's why everybody
Yeah, we gotta
enjoys
move
it,
the
I'm sure.
chairs. Yeah, so, yeah.
I
It's-
want to thank Kathy too, because I attended the Witch's Broom Dance.
Oh, yeah.
And she got a picture of me that I really thought was going to end up on this slide.
I know, and you know what, I
And when I
couldn't
saw
find
it wasn't there, I was, you couldn't find it? Okay, because I was
Only
like, oh,
because I
she's going to
couldn't
put
find
that
it
up
quick
there.
enough. I think Tally has it, so I couldn't find it quick enough, yeah.
It is such a vibrant community.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do.
All right,
It's important.
well, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Okay, item B, not much discussing here. Town manager has transmitted her fiscal year '26 recommended budget.
Yes,
It's in
and
her
so,
inbox.
we submitted it, we will have books for you all on Thursday at our tri-board meeting. A fuller presentation will be done as we kind of move through the process. But with the position that we're currently in the uncertainty of what the budget's going to look like, it doesn't really make sense to do that until we have a few more answers. So we'll see you on Thursday with your budget books, ready to discuss with how to move forward.
Excellent,
It'll be posted on the website tomorrow morning.
excellent, thank you. Okay, item C, request from North Andover Youth Baseball to use Water Street, Main Street, Waverly Road, and Dana Street for the opening day parade on May 3rd, 2025, starting at 8:15 a.m. Is anyone here from baseball?
And this is in order with no comments from any of the departments.
Okay. Everything's in order, no comments. Any questions from the board that we can?
No, it's always a good event.
I'll move that the select board approve the request from NA Youth Baseball to use Water Street, Main Street, Waverly Road, and Dana Street for the opening day parade on May 3rd, 2025, starting at 8:15 a.m.
So,
Because it takes a long time to herd the kids.
We'll start moving till 9. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Looking forward to that. All right, item D, reappointment of Colleen Martin to the Board of Registrars.
I'll move that the select board reappoint Colleen Martin to the Board of Registrars.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving right along. Request to increase EV charging station user rates.
This is Lori.
Okay, so back in, I believe it was August.
Lori, maybe you need your microphone a little closer to you. Sorry.
Back in August, when we first had all the stations installed, we came to you and asked to set a rate to cover the electricity costs. The first year of the cloud service and the first 5 years of maintenance is included with our initial payment when the stations were installed. So at the time, you'd agreed to 25 cents per kilowatt hour fee. And so we've gotten 8 months of data now, and with the renewals for every station coming online in August for the cloud plan, we need to increase the rate. So in order to cover everything, and this is all based on approximate numbers and what we're looking at for the electric rates, you'd have to charge 54 cents per kilowatt hour. If you wanted to use some of the funds that are already in there, you could lower that to 41 cents, but I'm not sure I'd recommend that because you're gonna have to start getting some money in reserve so that when the maintenance plans expire in 5 years, you have to remember, we have 11 stations, so that's why this is so high. Every station is $365 for the yearly subscription, or every port. We have 11 ports. So, and I gave you some comparable data with other towns. And I also put on there too, which was interesting, this wasn't there at the time that we installed. Apparently Riverwalk has 22 stations. And they're only charging 22 cents a kilowatt hour. and High Street has some stations, and they charge 27 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's possible that usage will go down. I don't know. It all depends on convenience. I think some of the residents of the condo are using the senior center ones a lot, which is fine. That's what they're there for. They're for public use. But I don't know how the change will impact usage.
I do know that the one in Riverwalk and the one on High Street both also charge a parking fee. So
Okay,
I
yeah.
wonder how much that offsets. They charge a 99-cent parking fee.
Right.
So it may end
Adds
up
a little
being the
bit
same
to
per
it, yeah.
hour when you
Right.
do the calculation.
And there's you can also charge like an overage fee. Some cities and towns, it's in order so that they'll turn over.
So that people don't.
So that people
park
leave.
their
If they
car.
sit there and take it up after their charge is done, they end up charging a fee after, say, 4 hours. You can also consider doing that too. I don't know how that would work into the calculation, but the intent was to review these every year anyway, to make sure that we're right on track.
How much, I mean, you don't have to answer this now, but how much are they actually used? Like, I am curious.
So they are,
And like, are there some that are more popular than others? And what's,
so the police, I think what's happening is there are the same people that go to the same
Yeah,
charging
they
station.
have their
The
spot.
senior center ones are popular, and the police station one is popular. Now, the police station has 2 ports, but one of them we use.
Yeah,
It's for
that makes sense.
for Crystal's car. So those are very popular.
Does it include the high school ones too?
The high school ones are in there too, yeah.
In the end building.
I mean,
Yeah.
Just the,
good, Laura.
just the 54 cents allow us to put money into reserves so that we can cover the maintenance? Or is that like,
Depends.
Not if no one
Base-
uses it.
Depends on how much.
Yeah,
activity.
it's hard to predict, because we don't know how much they're gonna use it. This would basically break even, but we'd already have 1,900 in reserve.
So I guess my question becomes, right, if usage drops substantially because we're so much more expensive, do we run the risk of losing money, needing that reserve, and then
And
are we just
shutting
back
it
and
down.
forth every year when we reassess this? I don't know, I mean,
We'll have
I mean,
to keep watching it.
well,
Maybe we can
yeah,
report back in 3
usage.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see if there's been any changes. I'd be surprised if since the other ones are charging a parking fee, I'd be surprised to see it impacted, and I do think it is a convenience matter more than anything else.
I do like the idea of charging overage if you're just sitting there
Yeah,
on a
after
space.
4 hours.
Yeah.
I think some
Can
towns
we do that at the high school?
charge
The high
like
school, you can't,
$2.
because if you come to the EV, you have that spot,
Parking is
right?
free.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for some people, this is a great option, not only for the convenience, but it's less expensive because they're not installing what they have to install at their home.
At home.
Right.
I feel like.
And
we-
I'm pretty sure that's what one of the users that goes to the police station pretty often.
I feel like it is a great sort of service as long as we're not losing money on it. We might as
Right.
well.
I agree that taxpayers should not be
Yeah,
funding their gas.
absolutely.
yes,
Right.
yeah,
Gas.
yeah. There,
Fuel,
there's
right.
But,
fuel.
but it's a work in progress. We just
Mhm.
have to keep watching it and see what.
Exactly.
Do you think these other towns are getting like grants or, I mean, it's just,
They may have more facilities than we do, so.
There are definitely ones that don't charge a fee, so they are paying it.
I mean,
Um,
Cambridge is less than 20 cents a kilowatt.
I
Probably have
think
a much bigger infrastructure too, right? Does that help them spread out some of those costs, maybe?
They could even have, like, I don't know. It could be like an agreement with a company.
Could be,
You
yeah.
know, like. could
Well,
be-
then they have an idle fee of 15 cents an hour, so I guess it's tricky.
I mean, in the future, I mean, we could think about having them sponsored,
That's
So
you know, to
you'll
pay
see
the
this is
cost.
sponsored by ABC Plumbing or something.
Right, right. So that, you know, I mean, because there's some at the 99 too, like they have them in their parking lot. So I think they're starting to make it more convenient
definitely.
every time you turn
Like
around.
when you're
it's-
out doing something, you can
Right.
usually find, yeah.
right,
Like the fact that they
exactly.
have them at the mills is very convenient for people who are going to a restaurant.
Do you think it would make sense to plan to come back just in 6 months and say, okay, here's the new data?
I
Maybe we'll
do,
see- Okay.
yeah, I do. I think we should just keep watching it and, adjust if we have to. Plus, we don't know what, our rates are changing, our supply rates are changing in October. I don't know when National Grid rates are changing again, but.
When people, I don't have an EV, so I don't know how this works, but do our chargers show up when people are looking for chargers? Okay.
You can
I
go
was
on
like,
the
or do we
chart.
need to run like a
Yeah.
campaign, like, we have them, this is
Yeah,
where they
no,
are?
you go on
Okay.
the ChargePoint website
Electricity.
and you put in your zip code and it'll
It'll-
show you. That's how I found the Riverwalk ones.
Okay.
Because I was trying to see what everybody was doing around us. Yeah, so you just go on ChargePoint and then it'll show you.
Any other questions for Lori? All right, now I'll take a motion.
I'll move that the select board increase EV charging station fees to 54 cents per kilowatt hour.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up, we have some licensing. I will take a motion.
Motion to move into licensing.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're in licensing.
All right, we just have one. It's our application from the Historical Society for their entertainment license. And Joanne is here. How are you?
Thank you,
Good
Madam
thing.
Chair.
Yes.
I am president of the North Andover Historical Society, so this is a clear conflict of interest for me. I'm going to recuse myself, and I'll be back.
All right, we'll come get you.
So yes, I appreciate the opportunity to sit here before you this evening, and I'm formally requesting an entertainment license for the Historical Society Stevens Center building on Mass Ave.
Can you tell us a little bit about the programming you guys have?
Oh, yeah, we've got lots of exciting things planned for 2025. We're in the middle of setting up 5 exhibits for the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, which is really exciting. We're also planning a community tour, like a self-guided tour or a shuttle tour of the old buildings that were in town in 1775. We're planning lots of programs for the next several months in the Warden Theatre, which is our solar-powered Warden Theatre, including Women's History Month. We've got some great speakers, documentaries. In April, we've got some speakers who are local experts on the history of the Merrimack Valley and the people that were involved in the Minutemen and the march down to Lexington and Concord on April the 19th. Looking forward into May, we're planning some speaking programs on historic preservation, so talking about old properties here in town and how people can help to maintain and continue to preserve them and learn a little bit more about how they can be stewards of them for the next 100 years. Yeah.
No, just a comment, how generous of you, knowing your heritage, that you were supporting the American Revolution
Well, I
studies.
am an American citizen now, so yeah. But it's really exciting, and I
But
do
you're
feel
very
honored.
magnanimous anyway, so it all
Thanks,
fits.
Rosemary. Yeah. I feel very fortunate to have arrived at the Historical Society at a time when they were just starting to plan the events for the Revolution. So it's a really, really exciting time for us and for the town. Yeah,
Sounds like a lot of good stuff.
thank you.
I'll take a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks for
I'll take
coming.
a motion to close licensing.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we are back out of licensing. Next up, the approval of minutes. We've got our minutes from January 23rd and our minutes from January 28th. Has anyone had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Okay. If so, I'm happy to take a motion.
I'll move that the select board approve the open session minutes of January 23rd, 2025, and January 28th, 2025, as presented.
A second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those motions, those minutes are approved. Next up,
I'll be signing them right.
select board updates.
Don't
Thank
fight.
you, DPW.
Right?
They've been busy.
Yeah.
They have been, and they'll continue to be busy.
Yeah, it sounds like we're in an active
Yeah.
pattern, so
Yes.
we appreciate them.
Of
I
course.
live close by, and there's a lot of people going in and out at all hours, so
Looking for sand.
they are working hard.
Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
plows and, yeah.
Okay, if nothing else, I'll move on to town manager report.
So I said to Laura this morning, I didn't do a report.
You've
But if I
been
was
a little
going to do
busy.
one, I would just write the word budget on a big piece of paper.
It's in your brain.
That's all we're doing right now.
That is what we're doing.
And that's the focus is really the budget. So we'll see everybody at the tri-board meeting on Thursday. That we do have a brand new email where you can send questions. I believe it's budget 2026 at northandoverma.gov. We are answering those questions and updating them in the FAQ. So I think it was actually updated as of this morning from the ones we answered yesterday. So,
Right, and that tri-board meeting will be at the high school.
Yeah.
The high school auditorium.
6 p.m.
And it will, going to be all three boards with a question and answer period from the public, to give them an opportunity to really dive in on this while we have a discussion. So everyone's aware of that.
And that's going to be facilitated by
Mark DeSalvo.
DeSalvo.
Yes, correct. Yep. So be a
Who's not wearing his moderator hat.
Nope, he's wearing his
No.
facilitator hat.
facilitator.
It's
Yes.
like a mini.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to a robust discussion with everyone on the 13th. And if there's nothing else, I will take a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.